Kellyanne, Tom Hitchcock, how are you?
Good, thanks, Tom. And yourself?
Cannot complain. No one's listening, as they say. But hopefully people are listening to this. That's the whole reason we record them, actually. So, but I can't complain. Thanks for asking. I like that background. There's a lot of things going on there. It's hard to ignore. And it's probably because I fancy another coffee. So it's leaning towards me. And a purple bike. Surely that's a bike for me.
It's a very colourful sunrise. So, yeah, love it.
Yeah, good. Well, I believe we met quite recently. So I remember having a lovely opportunity to hear a bit of your story, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with our subscribers today. The floor is yours, Kellyanne. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, I was born in Adelaide and lived there for most of my life with my brother and my mum and my dad. In my early 20s, I decided to get out of Adelaide and came to Sydney for a job opportunity, and hence have been here ever since. So, made my corporate career from Westpac. Spent about 9 years there and found myself in the early careers space. So love coaching and mentoring and imparting knowledge, I guess, onto the talent of tomorrow. And yeah, did that across different industries for a number of years until an avid cyclist, I was hit by a car one morning, and then yeah, that's when everything changed for me.
Okay, all right. So, spoiler alert: I do know a bit about this story, but I want to hear it a little bit differently than how we saw it when you showcased it previously. But that obviously is very traumatic. That's a big thing. Tell us a bit more about it. How did this all unfold?
So it was during COVID. So that, of course, adds a whole heap of other complexities to my story, the accident and the recovery. I had met a friend at the Harbour Bridge, and we were just going to head to Manly to have a coffee and catch up and watch the sunrise. But yeah, I never saw the sunrise that day. A driver had failed to give way, and I went face first into their windscreen and basically don't remember anything else until I woke up in the intensive care unit 6 days later, having already undergone two major surgeries on my spine.
Okay, that's significant. That's things that you don't wish on anybody. What were your first thoughts when you realised what had happened and what you'd gone through when you came round?
So the first time I woke up, I was actually intubated, and so I couldn't ask what was happening. So that was pretty scary for me. I also was diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury, having gone headfirst into that driver's windscreen. So you can imagine how confused and disorientated I was. And to add to that, my mother from Adelaide was standing next to me. So I really just had no idea what was happening. And not being able to ask, that just made it worse, and I think panic set in for me. So that's my sketchy recall of, yeah, that first time.
I think putting myself in your shoes, then I would have probably had some sort of panic attack with not being able to communicate and fully understand and comprehend what's going on, and the loss of days as well. Um, uh, how did things progress after that when you could communicate?
So I had to go for further surgery because I had broken my jaw. So when I came out of that, talking was very limited for me because they'd put, I like to say, bolts, felt like Frankenstein, in my jaw to keep my mouth kind of wide shut a bit because of the delicate surgery. And look, the events unfolded over the next 6 days until I got out of intensive care. And as I said, with a brain injury, there's a lot of fogginess. And I still say to this day, my brain actually protected me. Some of those events I barely remember. My mother kept a diary, so I do know some of the things that happened. And obviously, with the bits and pieces I've managed to put together. And then, as my memory obviously got better and better, and I got better and better. So I was in hospital for 92 days. So yeah, rehab, definitely a journey and chapter of my life I could never have imagined. But yeah, massive amount of time just learning to function and walk again because I've got an incomplete spinal cord injury, which meant at that time I was completely incapacitated. So that in itself is pretty scary and just massively overwhelming because I was 41 years of age and was quite, oh, words can't describe the feelings in terms of not being able to move and, being able to rely upon other people.
Yeah, that would have been, well, it's quite simply life changing, of course. Was there any points an opportunity where you thought you might not walk again?
No, fortunately, no one ever said to me I wouldn't. Um, I worked really hard at physio. That was twice a day, 5 days a week. So that was 10 sessions for me, and I just kept showing up. And fortunately, I had some sensation and some feeling that came back in the first couple of weeks. But I think because no one said that to me directly, it was never in my mind. So I just I did what I was told to do, and everything else, and a little bit extra. And I think, yeah, having my mum there as a massive support definitely helped encourage me and motivated me to want to get better.
And fast forward into today then, do you have any, repercussions, anything that has a knock-on effect that still affects you today?
So I'm 6 years post injury. So mine was May 2020. I have permanent neuropathic damage down my right side of my body, which means my dexterity and sense down in my right hand is quite bad. So this cold aggravates it quite badly. So I still take medication to try and keep that at bay. Down my right leg, obviously the traumatic brain injury leaves me quite foggy some days and I get fatigued quite quickly. Um, and just the damage to my nervous system, you see things come and go throughout the day and week for me. So that can just differ. Some days I can wake up and be amazing and be like, okay, let's go. And other days can be quite debilitating. And yeah, it's a challenge. So learn to get on with it.
Okay. Um, Now, before the operation, before the incident, if you like, did you have any familiarity with this type of procedure, or what this meant, or is it you just when you heard it, it just unfolds in real time?
No, I had no idea what an incomplete spinal cord injury was. I associate spinal cord injury with people that can't walk. I hadn't thought of the different levels of what that could look like, you know. So I soon learnt though. I had been exposed to it through corporate events and had met a Paralympian, John McLean, through work. And he can walk a little bit, but for most of his time, he is actually in a wheelchair. But that's just your perception. That's what you're exposed to. Whereas disabilities these days are quite broad, and a lot of them are actually unseen. So that's my other challenge these days is, the unseen is just important as the seen. People don't know what you're going through. So yeah, you have to just take care and ask questions. And I always say be kind because, yeah, that's free and you just don't know what's going on for people.
There's two points that you raised there, which is something that we have conversations with quite often in the disability space, where we got the perceptions where people close their eyes, they think of disability, they think of a wheelchair. That's the first thing that springs to mind.
Mhm.
Um, and then also the unseen, the invisible disabilities, which a lot of people that have these disabilities sometimes argue it's worse because when people can see things and they can accommodate and react to it, if it's unseen, then there's not much leeway given to accommodate.
I think it's about people's ability. We all have different capabilities and abilities with, whether we've been impacted by an accident and we're born with something. So I actually don't really like the word disability. And to be honest, even though I was in a wheelchair for 8 weeks, I really struggled with that label, kind of still struggle with it. Because, yeah, everyone has a capability and different abilities, whether you've gone to school or to uni, where you grew up, different cultures. So, yeah, it's just a label. And I think, yeah, we could really change it to, encourage people and be more inclusive.
Okay, I agree with that. I think that's probably a good viewpoint. That's probably a good takeaway for anybody listening to this, as something that we could do to reframe um, labels significantly. I think that's a big thing. Um, and how do you think it's changed your perception now? How have you sort of accommodated this in your day-to-day life now?
So I had to give up my full-time job. So because of the brain injury and the spinal cord injury, it affected me obviously quite heavily. I did try to go back to work and they were very supportive, but my ability to process information quickly, the fatigue, due to the chronic pain, I just I just couldn't. There's lots of different reasons. So that was a big struggle for me because that was a huge part of my identity and who I am and what was my purpose now. So I went through a whole process. You'll see in the background there's a book there. So I was really fortunate that I decided to tell my story. Never been a writer before, but through various support networks, everyone was like, "You've got such a good story to tell. You should put pen to paper." Forwardability support took the monetary part of that away for me, and I had applied and earned a scholarship through them. So I joined a writing boot camp, and I think that was probably the biggest start of when I'm like, hang on, I can do a lot of good here. I can, tell my story, share it, do a lot of advocacy work, help people find their voice and just give people hope because whether you've had an accident or not, unfortunately there's a lot of bad things that can happen to us and a lot of bad days and dark days and we have a lot of negative thoughts. And so I chose to write my story, and it's interwoven with my mum's diary notes, so it's not just from my perspective, it's from her as a carer as well. And I think a lot of people don't really understand the impact to the carers as well. So I guess, opening that up and giving people hope from my perspective and doing the hard work and what I went through. And then also the carers' perspective as well, just to, give extra insight.
I think that's brilliant that you put the focus, some lens on the care as well, and I like the work that Carers Gateway do, for example, for exactly that reason.
Yeah.
The book, so anybody listening to this, they're probably going to want to buy your book and hear your story and share some inspirations, I guess, from it. So wrapping this up, what's the name of the book and how can they find it?
So it's called Breaking Up with My Wheelchair. Very straight to the point title of my book. And then go to kelleyanncurley.com. So I built a website. I do some talks as well, whether they're paid or unpaid, a keynote for a real estate agent or a financial planner versus at the community events where you and I met. So however I can help, as I said, went through corporate world, imparting my knowledge, coaching, mentoring, that just looks really different for me now. I do other work with New South Wales Health and with Skier. So, it's a whole collective for me in terms of what I do in this day and age. And, it's taken me a while to get there. It's definitely been a journey. But for people, don't give up. We just got to keep taking that step. I say progress over perfection. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to try. So, yeah, I've also narrated it. So in this day and age, some people like to listen to books as opposed to read them. So you can also find it on Audible and Spotify. So, yeah, have a listen. It's in my voice. Someone else has read Mum's pieces as well, just to break it up. So, yeah, I hope it actually finds those that need it.
No, I love it. Thank you very much. That when we do publish this on the YouTube version of it, please put the link in for the book, so that anybody listening to this, they can go and purchase it and benefit from your experience and insights as well.
Cool. Thanks, Tom, and letting me share my story.
Thank you, Kellyanne. Hello again, I am Mr. Purple. Thanks again for watching this video. If you like my videos, if you like what we try to do here, please subscribe if you haven't done it already. The other thing that's very popular right now is the t-shirts, the Mr. Purple t-shirts. There's lots of people wearing these at the moment. You can grab yours on our website, copying this link below. So once again, thanks for listening. We love your feedback. Engage with us and speak soon.